Hello folks, it has been a few weeks since we last touched on Silksong, given the third update was announced around the 27th of September, but it took all the way up to Tuesday the 14th just gone to actually arrive. Due to currently being knee-deep in Bloodlines 2 and the Hollow Knight Discord not actually announcing this update, the Silksong patch did go under my radar for a couple of days, but despite this, my motto would be better late than never. So the full patch notes for patch 3 do go as follows. Added support for DualSense Edge controllers, improved support for various controllers on Mac, game now pauses when the controller disconnects, fixed various smaller controller issues, more fixes to come in future. Fixed remaining instance of certain players getting stuck cursed while in the late game, fixed Curve Claw not reacting to Hunter down stab, fixed rare instances of being able to air dash and double jump when not intended, fixed several out of bounds situations, fixed Fireled divers sometimes sliding on roofs after ambushing in certain scenes, fixed either Hunter Crest upgrades unintentionally clearing tool equips, fixed rare instances of harpoons sometimes grabbing 2 silk instead of 1, fixed cogflies sometimes appearing from odd locations after scene transition, and in rare cases, having their active quantity reduced by 1. Fixed crafting kits not increasing the damage of offensive blue tools, e.g. Sawtooth Circlet. Slight increase to Sharp Dart and Cross Stitch damage. Updated damage scaling on Rune Rage to match other Silk skills. Slight decrease to Threadstorm damage at higher needle levels. Fixed Surgeon enemies sometimes pulling the hero out of bounds. Fixed instances of some spool fragments being permanently missable if a player immediately quit after collecting the item. Fixed Crust King Khan, sometimes falling out of bounds during entry when fought on low-end systems. Fixed rare instance of Second Sentinel becoming rotated when defeated. Fixed additional case of Seth sometimes getting out of bounds and not returning. Fixed Seth sometimes remaining invisible for a moment of the start of a refight. Fixed Vault Slide blocks incorrectly responding to damage sources other than the needle. Changed Fine Pin's wish drops from 50% chance to 100%, but raised required quantity. Fixed issues when consuming a Silk Eater whilst in water. Fixed Scuttle Brace sometimes allowing a wall jump when not intended. Fixed the soft lock during the Grand Gate opening sequence if the Citadel had been visited and some Bow Shrines remained inactive. And then finally, various smaller fixes and tweaks. In addition to patch 3, we also had another announcement yesterday for patch 4, and that would go as follows. The patch 4 public beta details include new simplified Chinese translation. A new version of Hollow Knight Silksong is now live on the public beta branch. This version includes a basic implementation of the new simplified Chinese translation, which we're eager to hear feedback on. If you're a simplified Chinese player and are willing to check it out, you can access it via the public beta branch on Steam. Please let us know your thoughts, whether that's clarity, style, spelling, or otherwise, using the form below. Please note, implementation of this new translation is not yet finalized, so please expect some display issues throughout. This version also includes a short set of game files, but the overall patch is still very much in progress. More fixes will be added before it goes out to all players. And then for the actual patch notes themselves, we have updated simplified Chinese translation with a new script for public testing. This is a basic implementation only, to be refined and updated based on player feedback. Various localization fixes implemented across all languages, switched to Unity's input system to improve overall controller support. This includes rumble features not working for various controllers and additional controllers being recognized. Some issues may remain. Fixed sticks not giving rosaries when delivering the Queen's Egg. Fixed Druid's Eyes sometimes not equipping correctly when first acquired. Fixed some down attack colliders getting stuck on in rare instances. Fixed several instances of Hornet's plasmified state clearing when not intended, e.g. Balway travel. Fixed issues entering the plasmified state when killing a winged life seed rather than using the Plasmion file. Reduced unintentionally long bind times when using multibinder with the Shaman Crest. Updated multibinder's initial bind to clear maggots per community comments. And then finally, we have various smaller tweaks and fixes. Now, just like the second update, the third patch has come with some more secretive changes. We have a handy article from yesterday detailing these, and the main ones would be the following. First up, we have Threadstorm. After the subsequent round of tweaks, testing reveals 2 strikes against Threadstorm's mastery. First, its base, Short Cast, has been reported to have a minus 16% damage reduction in some test cases compared to the pre-patch short form. Second, and more importantly, the extension mechanism that allowed players to spam the ability and extend its duration has been underappreciated. Where extended casts previously added about plus 50% damage relative to the short version, testing now shows the extended section only adds an additional 13% difference to the short cast. And then for Rune Rage normalization, the latest patches normalize Rune Rage's bonuses from Volt Filament and Shaman Crest, which in practice translates to the raw values of the skill being reduced in some builds. They had anticipated a buff or repair that made it more effective, but the update did something different and put Rune Rage in a more quote-unquote correct, if lower, damage category. I'll do my best to cover these secretive changes moving forward, folks, along with everything else. So that is patch 3 and what we know of patch 4 covered in their entirety. Both patches have been playable to at least some extent over on the public beta branch, and I would imagine all of the patches will follow this same pattern. Now, as for when we actually receive patch 4, I won't make any guesses this time, as patch 3 took a good week or two longer than I had anticipated. This isn't to say patch 4 will take the same or longer, it's more to say I'd just rather not guess. Each update does appear to be roughly the same as the last, and despite us getting the first two very quickly one after the other, it would appear that the current patches are taking longer to put together. Which makes sense from the perspective of possibly wanting to deal with the easiest/quickest tasks first, and then work their way through the tougher fixes along the way. I'm unsure as to when Team Cherry will be happy with the state of Silksong that they then begin working on future DLC and content. We know they have basically confirmed this already and have said it is currently being done. We theorized that due to Hollow Knight receiving 4 free DLC installments, it's likely that Silksong could undergo a very similar post-development process. We know they're working on something while simultaneously cranking out these updates, but beyond this, we truly don't know what to expect. Team Cherry do like to play their cards very close to their chest. They don't speak unless they absolutely have to, which is a very solid strategy. Don't make promises or set expectations, and then you'll find players will be far less angry/upset should anything go wrong or not to plan. They seem pretty dug in with this philosophy towards development. So it's very likely we won't hear much about future developments until they are to some extent just around the corner. Very much like how they only announced Silksong's launch 2 weeks prior to the actual day. Had they have announced it months before, but then had to delay for whatever reason, it would have just caused issues that otherwise could have been avoided, as we've seen similar issues occur and affect other games in this way over the years. So basically, we don't know much else outside of what I've just outlined right there. Patch 4 should be here within the coming weeks, and then presumably we'll hear news regarding patch 5, and then maybe follow this pattern until we get our first sizable announcement, whatever that may be. I will of course be covering it all in full. I had only just recently stopped checking the Silksong Steam page daily, and lo and behold, I just missed the update as it arrived. So I'll be going back to daily checks and should have the next update video out in a much more timely fashion. Beyond this, I have been incredibly hard at work covering a range of different games just recently. We have Kazan, Wuchang, Cronus the New Dawn, Dying Light the Beast, and just recently Bloodlines 2. And we also have Where Winds Meet and Arc Raiders coming at the end of this month and next, with the Arc Raiders open beta starting today, so that may be worth you all knowing. I'm doing my best to cover it all, and given things have quietened down a little bit since last month's boom of new releases, I have now managed to scramble a better structure together. This job can be a little bit touch and go, as sometimes I find myself with nothing to cover and able to work on more long form and planned out videos, whereas other times I find myself with 2 or 3 new updates to cover all at once, and days I think I have time to play with suddenly receive updates, and I find myself way busier than I first anticipated. This is all fine with me. It's a learning curve, and I've learned it's simply part and parcel of this job. Anyway, that would be it for this one, folks. I'll be back as soon as Silksong receives further developments, and I do of course have a range of guide and news videos over on the channel, so do feel free to stop on by and check things out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, folks, and until next time, peace.